Up with KREM begins now.
Right now on Up with KREM, today marks 1 year since the murder of George Floyd. This morning, the impact he had on Spokane and the rest of Washington.
Plus, the parents of a Florida high school student are demanding an apology after their daughter's yearbook photos were edited to cover up their chest.
And we're going to take you outside, talk a changing weather pattern and what that means for you in the days to come.
Well, taking a live look at Minneapolis this morning. Today marks 1 year since George Floyd was murdered by former police officer Derek Chauvin.
Floyd's death led to global protests and sparked new conversations about police reform. Today, his family will meet with President Joe Biden at the White House.
Vigils and events will be held across the country today, including right here in Spokane.
That's right. So this morning we have Brandon T. Jones. He joins us live from the Black Lives Matter mural with more details.
Good morning, Tim, Dana Marie. Yeah, tonight to honor George Floyd's life here in Spokane, a memorial will be held at the Spokane Pavilion. It'll start at 7 p.m. and people are asked to bring candles, chalk, and be ready to reflect. Anyone can attend the peaceful event and mask will be required. The days following Floyd's death protests sparked all across the country, including here in downtown Spokane. Take a look at some of these tweets from last year. May 31st, a peaceful protest started in Riverfront Park. It then turned into a march through downtown. It ended at the Spokane courthouse where several protesters lied on the ground in front of police. Later that day, the protest wrapped up and the atmosphere had a major shift. There were a few places vandalized, tear gas was used in downtown Spokane, and a curfew was put in place. Thousands of people participated in demonstrations against police brutality for several weeks. Protests like the ones here in Spokane had local and state leaders looking into reform.
Here's why this legislation is necessary. Many of these tactics have been used, unfortunately, that led to great tragedies and disproportionately against people of color.
Last week, Governor Jay Inslee signed a dozen new police reform measures into law. One of those was House Bill 1267. It's a statewide ban on chokeholds and neck restraints. The governor's website credits the killing of George Floyd for bringing newfound attention to use of force tactics employed by law enforcement. The bill also restricts vehicular pursuits and limits the use of tear gas. 9 additional police accountability bills were signed related to topics like peace officers' duty to intervene, data collection within law enforcement, and juvenile access to an attorney when contacted by law enforcement. Like I said, last year I had a chance to kind of attend every single one of these protests and be there documenting and covering it all for KREM 2. A lot of emotions were taking place, and it's almost amazing looking back on how fast a year can go by and the changes that may be able to occur. But tonight they will be holding a memorial at the Spokane Pavilion to honor Floyd's life. Tim, Dane Marie.
Brandon, thank you. We do want to talk about what about the other officers convicted and charged in Floyd's murder.
Well, former police officer Derek Chauvin has been convicted of all of the charges against him after last year's killing of George Floyd. Now, Chauvin has been found guilty for second-degree murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter. The jury reviewed 3 weeks of testimony from 45 witnesses in one of the most closely watched murder trials in American history. His sentencing is set for a month from today.
Now, the other 3 officers charged in Floyd's death are set to be tried starting on March 7th of next year. They're charged with aiding and abetting second-degree murder and second-degree manslaughter. We will keep you updated here on Up with KREM of both the sentencing of Derek Chauvin and the other officers involved in George Floyd's death.
We will also keep an eye on everything that's happening today in the events in Spokane and across the country.
All right, let's switch gears, talk weather now on a Tuesday morning. Jeremy, not too bad outside this morning. Compared to yesterday afternoon, it was quite breezy.
Yeah, it was rather breezy yesterday. Thankfully, everything has calmed down today. We always talk about that changing of air masses that brings about a different weather pattern. Today, we're a little calmer, but we've got another forcing mechanism. And as we head into the afternoon, that brings about the potential for some isolated and scattered thunderstorms. Right now, temperature is close to 50 degrees across the inland Northwest. Give or take a few degrees depending on where you are. Sandpoint, you're just plain old cool and foggy early on this morning. That's thanks to your moisture from yesterday. Right now, a little bit of cloud cover moves in from the south. Those clouds starting to dissipate as they lift to the north. The reason, well, we're just not seeing too much in the way of moisture. Later, though, they'll pack a little bit of moisture. They'll tap into the daytime heating across the inland Northwest, and we'll wind up seeing some scattered and isolated thunderstorms. I know I keep pausing for thunderstorms, but you're going to hear a rumble of thunder. You're likely going to see some small hail. And if you're under one of those, oh yeah, you can see some heavy downpours later on today, and then it'll eventually clear out. And tomorrow, looking much better across the region if you like sunshine and warm temperatures. For today, well, it's temps on the rise. Upper 60s later on this afternoon. Potential for those scattered showers, we're calling it a 30% chance because we know they're going to happen, but only about 30% of us get to see them.
It's time for your morning rush. More news in less time.
Well, it took a little less than 3 hours for Lori Eisenberg to be sentenced to life in prison. Eisenberg herself spoke for 45 minutes. She talked about the embezzlement and the emotions of her family and what they went through.
I wish so badly that I could go back and tell my family what had happened right then. It would have saved so much pain for them. I just couldn't.
The judge says he thinks Lori Eisenberg believes she did not intend to kill her husband, but the facts of the case conflict with her account. Her children also spoke at the hearing. They described their father's murder as something impossible to recover from.
Happening today, the Spokane Arena is hosting a vaccination happy hour event, and it's an effort to get the community vaccinated. The events are happening from 5 to 7 p.m. today, and then again on June 2nd through the 8th and the 6th through the 16th. And they will include free food from local vendors, music, and giveaways. There will also be drawings for tickets to upcoming concerts at the arena. One-dose Johnson & Johnson vaccines will be given out at these events, and people can either schedule an appointment online or just walk up during the vaccination happy hour.
Well, this morning we're looking at the meaning behind Memorial Day and supporting our military and first responders. Now, a group walking through Spokane was trying to share this message, carrying an American flag on a relay across the nation. The nonprofit called Carry the Load has people walking or cycling throughout the country, carrying the flag and giving people a way to support active military, veterans, and first responders. You may have seen them walking through Spokane over the weekend. The national relay has 4 teams walking different routes, all ending in Texas over Memorial Day.
Eastern Washington women's basketball officially introduced their new head coach on Monday. Jody Gleason addressed what she hopes to accomplish in the coming years. Gleason is motivated to turn the program around that has been struggling. The Eagles haven't been to an NCAA tournament since 1987. More recently, they haven't had a winning season since the 2016-2017 year. To make things more challenging, most of the key players from last season transferred when longtime Eastern head coach Wendy Scholler was fired. Gleason's main focus is to rebuild the roster, bring in talented players, and recruit locally.
We want to recruit the top tier athletes, and if you can, get a couple of those, especially early on, then it kind of sets that mindset of, okay, this is a destination place. This is where we want to be, and that's exactly what we're trying to do is reach out to the local talent, get those GSL and neighboring communities. There's some communities that are a little more remote that I think this is a great fit for some of those kids to attend as well.
And that's your morning rush. More news in less time. Let us know what's happening in your neighborhood by using the hashtag #UpWithKREM on social media.
Well, girls' photos censored in a high school yearbook is sparking outrage among parents and students. That's what's trending online this morning. At a high school in Florida, at least 83 female students had their yearbooks photos digitally altered to conceal their chests. So parents and students are claiming in part of a larger dress code controversy that disproportionately targets male female students, Parents say the poorly photoshopped ruined their photos. It appears small section of the students' clothing were copied and pasted over their chests. Some student photos are completely botched. Now, this investigation found that no male students had their photos edited to fit the dress code.
It's something that parents spend a lot of money on, and to not even have a heads up, to not even have another option was unacceptable.
The school's website does offer a disclaimer saying that students out of dress code may be digitally altered. The school said that the edits were made by a teacher and are offering a refund to parents calling about the issue.
Oh yeah, this one definitely trending online this morning and really all week. I've been seeing it all over social media. You could see why people were obviously very upset. You know, no one wants to find out that their photo was altered without their knowledge, you know?
Right.
Oh man, I am so borderline going on a long Jeremy Legoo rant right
here we go.
This could very well be a hot take. Why do they have to go? This seems like a big amount of overreach by the school, or was it the yearbook? Who did this? We need to figure that out first. Who did the Photoshop? That was awful. And then we need to go from there. I think dress codes are absolutely absurd. Some of it I understand. But when it comes to telling girls that they have to dress and behave a certain ways because boys can't control themselves, that's absurd. You are a person. Be responsible. Don't be an absolute moron. If you're a boy and you can't control yourself, don't blame it on hormones. Blame it on a lack of responsibility and a lack of owning up to your own inability to control your...
Jeremy, we're giving you the final word. Heated.
I think this type of emotion is exactly why it's trending online, because there are people on both sides of the conversation, most of them similar to you and how you feel. Those girls, I'm sure, feel just very frustrated. So.
Yeah. If I was one of those girls, you would see me everywhere. I would escalate this to the point that, anyway. All right, I gotta stop. But you know what? I'm here to do weather, so coming up after the break, we'll take you back outside. We'll talk weather and a rather interesting forecast and something special you might be able to catch early tomorrow morning.